All right, well, good morning officially, everyone. Welcome to the Connect OC Coalition meeting. We're so excited to have you join us this morning and to have our wonderful guests. We are Connect OC and we're a partner or a program of Partners for Wellness. And really, we're here to bring together the mental health community in Orange County to support transitional age youth and young adults. So ages 16 to 24 is the primary age group that we want to support and be focusing on. Yeah, that's why we're here. So my name is Blair Veraza, and I am joined by some of my colleagues today, Crystal Bleicher, Joy Medina, and I think David Pattison will be hopping on and joining us if he's not already here. But we are excited to have you join us. So today our topic is going to be about self-care. We celebrated International Self-Care Day this month on the 24th. And we wanted to cover this topic through the lens of physical self-care, specifically nutrition and exercise or movement. I think a lot of us, myself included, sometimes when I think of the concept of self-care, I'm thinking of bubble baths and candles, and that's kind of like the only thing that I associate with that concept, but it's not true. There's a lot of ways that, we care for ourselves. And I'm here to say that self-care is a very productive thing to do. It's not just fluffy all the time. It's really important things like how we eat, how we nourish our bodies, how we move our bodies, and things like that. But we are going to hear from the perspective of a lot of young adults today about this topic and about how movement is important for mental health. So I'm very excited to have everyone join us. So I am going to turn it over to Megan Buncher from UPLIFT Yoga Foundation, and she's actually going to be walking us through meditation to begin our time today, because what better way to care for ourselves and begin a conversation on self-care than to actually do it and implement it. So Megan, I will turn it over to you.
Hi, everybody, and good morning. As Blair kindly introduced me, my name is Megan, and I'm 19 years old. I'm a senior at UCLA, and I'll be graduating with my bachelor's in psychology this June, which is just mind-blowing to me. I still can't fathom it. And I am a teen mentor at UPLIFT, which means that I did my 200-hour teacher training, as all yoga teachers do, and I have the privilege of going around Orange County and teaching all kinds of teens and adults. So it's just like the best job I could ask for, and I'm so happy to be here today. But without further ado, let's just try our meditation. It's called Own It, and it is a UPLIFT original meditation. We made it ourselves for our teens, and Own It is an acronym. So each letter is a step in this 5-step guided meditation. So instead of explaining it too much, we'll just dive right in. So go ahead and get into a comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's just in your chair, or maybe you even take a step away to lie down, and gently glide your eyes closed. And just begin to slow down altogether, your body, your mind. Find a place for your palms that feels right, whether that's face up or down on your thighs. One hand to heart, one hand to belly. And together, let's take a deep inhale through your nose. Good, hearty sigh out the mouth. Another deep inhale through the nose. Even bigger exhale through the mouth. And beginning with that first step, observe how you feel compassionately. Just take note of how you're doing in your body right here, right now. Are you settled in? Is your mind still racing? Are you even present right now? Are you thinking about something you have to do later today or something you did yesterday? And connect with your breath to help you ground down right here in this moment. And then take note of what's going on inside of your head right now. Are your thoughts rushed or slow? Are they kind and compassionate or not so much? And as you observe what's going on inside of your head, do so compassionately and just from a third-party perspective with no opinion, no judgment. You're just simply observing. Maybe even sum up how you feel in a word or a phrase. Take another inhale through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then we move on to our next step, witness sounds and sensations. So beginning with the most dominant sounds in your environment, maybe you hear your air conditioning running, dogs barking outside, traffic. Just name them, become aware of them, and then begin to look for the more subtle sounds in your environment, the ones that really take a lot of focus to find. Notice their rhythm, their beat, their tune. And then bring awareness to the sensations in your environment, perhaps the way the air feels on your skin, your clothes on your body, how you feel in your seat. Maybe you feel your glasses over your nose or your hair on your neck. And then turn that awareness inward, noticing your heartbeat, your breath, the expansion and deflation of your lungs as you inhale and exhale. And our third step in this meditation, now go to your happy place. Perhaps you pick a place that aligns with a feeling that you want to feel right here, right now. So if you want to feel confident and empowered, maybe you see yourself standing on the top of a mountain. If you want to feel at peace, maybe you're in a forest. Or maybe just right here, wherever you are in your seat is perfect for you. And wherever this place is, whatever it may be, let it come to life with sound and color. If you're in nature, hear the birds chirping or the sound of water trickling in the distance. I am grateful for, and try to finish the sentence with one or three things, big or small. Sometimes we're just grateful for the fact that we're here and we're alive and we're breathing. And then once you've come up with what you're grateful for, maybe consider why you're grateful for these people or these things, how they make you feel, why you need them in your life. And finally, tune into possibility. This is where we practice visualizing. So if you have a goal that you want to attain or just something you want to happen, watch it play out in your head like a movie. If you're just craving a good family dinner full of connection and laughter, then see yourself there. Maybe you have an event or something coming up that you want to go well. See it all going right, step by step. And then let that vision fade away. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale, just trusting and knowing that it's not in your hands, that whatever will happen will happen. And then when you feel ready and complete, you can go ahead and slowly blink your eyes to open. Welcome back, everybody. Sweet.
Thank you so much, Megan. I am so relaxed. That was amazing.
I'm so glad.
That was wonderful. Yeah, so I hope, we can all take this tool, this Own It tool with us as we go today, and remember that and incorporate it into our rhythms, because it's so helpful.
Yeah, and if you guys want to practice it, you can go to upliftfoundation.com, and we're like launching all kinds of free tools and meditations this week. So there will be an Own It video, and it will show you all the steps, and so you can try it on your own. And it's super customizable. Sometimes I don't do all 5 steps. Sometimes I do the first 3 or the last 2, just depending on how much time I have.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing. We'll definitely check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'd love to ask a couple of questions just about your experience with, yoga and all of these things and how this has really impacted your mental health. So can you share about how you discovered the practice of yoga?
Yeah, so my first yoga class that wasn't really like my first real one is I went to a hot yoga class with my friend when I was like 16 years old, and it was an advanced class, and I just like died a little inside. It was so hard and like so hot. I think the room was like 105 degrees, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like, glad I tried something new, and here I am years later and I'm certified. But I think what happened is I found UPLIFT, or honestly, UPLIFT found me. And for context, you guys, UPLIFT is a nonprofit foundation. We bring yoga and meditation to teenagers. That's our mission. And so I was one of their teens before I started teaching with them. And it just like showed me this whole other side of yoga, like the side that like, oh, it's so much more than an exercise or like an act of self-care. Like really it's a connection to your mind and your body and getting to know yourself better and getting to know others better, because so much of yoga is community. Like yoga in Sanskrit, yuj, means to unite and to connect. So
That's awesome. How would you say that this practice has impacted your mental health?
so many ways. I mean, I've been doing it since I was 16, and like I've tried and I've dealt with depression and anxiety. I've tried like the therapy and I've tried the prescriptions, and like I don't think anything honestly has the biggest impact as yoga and meditation does. And like I'm so pro therapy, but for me, like what really does it for me is going to a yoga class and slowing down and being present. It just like changes my whole day.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely another useful tool. Well, as you mentioned, you're at UCLA and a busy college student. So how do you find the time? How do you incorporate self-care and movement and nourishing your body? How do you incorporate all these things as a college student?
Yeah, honestly, I don't always find the time because, truthfully, we live in a society that wants you to prioritize productivity and school and work. And so it can be hard, and there's an immense pressure to, like I always found myself scheduling yoga classes and then canceling them last minute because I was so worried about grades. But seriously, like if I've learned anything after 4 years of college, it's that sometimes you have to prioritize yourself, and it has to become a non-negotiable, even if something's not going to get done in the meantime. So like really I've had to sacrifice certain things in order to just like have an hour of doing yoga in my bedroom. Like you can do yoga from your bed and there's YouTube videos on that, or like doing a really quick own it. And honestly, lately, I'm just loving the art of doing nothing. So if I have an in-between moment, just like sitting and like being with my thoughts, like not having to be connected to technology, not having to like eat and do something. Like it's silly to me how in this culture, we always eat and do something. Like we eat and talk to people, we eat and watch TV, we eat and like we drive. And so honestly, like just sitting and like not having an agenda is so nice to me.
That's great. Yeah, I struggle with that. I need to get better about the just sitting part.
Right. It is hard.
Yeah. So in addition to that, it sounds like a wonderful self-care practice, but what are some of your other go-to self-care practices that you incorporate regularly?
Yeah. So obviously I own it a lot. That's the meditation we just did. I try to do that twice a day when I wake up and when I go to bed. Um, and yoga, obviously, but I really love journaling. Um, and I know a lot of people journal like just pen to paper, but I like to do it on my computer because personally, like my thoughts just run too fast. And I love being able to look back and read it. And sometimes that's just like super encouraging to see where you were a year ago or a month ago. So journaling has like really been doing it for me. And sometimes I like feel this like need, like I'm gonna explode, like I need to rant to someone or vent about something. And like once I put it down on paper on my computer, it's like there's no need anymore. I just feel like I've solved it. Because the truth is, like we all know the answer if we like just take the time to slow down and be with ourselves and like look at the bigger picture.
So true. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Megan, for taking the time and walking us through this meditation and again, giving us that tool. And we'll definitely check out the UPLIFT website and add that to the chat so that everyone.
Yeah, I will.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so everyone can incorporate that practice and those tools. And thank you for sharing that resource with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This is such a joy and a pleasure to be here and be sharing some of my favorite tools with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, best of luck in your final year.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. All right. We are now going to transition to sharing a video. So directing change, as we've mentioned before at these meetings, is a really wonderful movement to talk about suicide prevention and mental health through the means of videos. And all of these videos are created by young adults in California. And we actually have a video that we're going to share today that was created by one of our young adult advisory committee members, Liala Nahas. So as we're talking today about this, topic of self-care through nutrition, through movement and exercise, there can be kind of a dark side to those elements as well. So we'd love to share this video that kind of highlights some of these things. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let you all watch this video.
People assume that through intense focus on their physical health, female athletes develop better appreciation for their bodies.
But such intense focus on your body can have devastating consequences on mental health as well.
People assume that female athletes are perfect, that we don't have insecurities.
But we struggle too.
One more repeat, 100 more calories, and I can have dinner.
I didn't work hard enough to eat today.
Is this shirt tighter on me now?
I would be so much faster if I was 5 pounds lighter.
If you notice someone struggling with an eating disorder or body image issues, please reach out.
Because no one should have to face these struggles alone.
Well, we live. Nope. I'll make sure that this- Thank you so much for allowing us to share this video with our group today and for coming on here to share a little bit about the experience making it and your perspective on all of these issues. So first thing, what led you to creating this video?
Yeah, so thanks for showing it. Yeah, but anyways, so we made it through my school's Hope Squad. If you guys aren't aware, what that program is, it's a suicide awareness program across high schools in America. And my school's Hope Squad decided to split in a couple groups. We do directing change every year. We like to participate. So we split into groups and I had an idea, and there's a category, the category that that video belonged to was kind of about cultures, and it was pretty broad. So most people usually do like cultures and stigmas within like family cultures and ethnicities and stuff like that. But I think my group wanted to kind of go deeper, and we wanted to talk about sports culture. So a lot of the athletes who were in Hope Squad on my school's campus kind of came together and thought it'd be a good idea to put kind of the struggles that aren't really talked about into a video. So with us, like the inspiration with this is that we were all female athletes in that video. We all participate in our high school sports. I participate in club sports in my high school sports. So we know kind of from a background what really goes on sometimes behind the scenes that people don't see. And that the media sometimes doesn't bring attention to. So we decided it'd be a good idea to kind of put things into perspective, make a quick video about it, and kind of shine the light on it.
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. And I do want to note that you were one of the 2022 winners for that video. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Such an important message. Yeah. So, highlighting this, how do you personally and how do your friends maybe maintain a healthy mindset around nutrition and exercise?
Yeah, so with that, like as athletes too, sometimes the media promotes images of like they don't promote the good stuff that you kind of need to see. So I think that like developing a good relationship with food is definitely a big thing, because female athletes especially, a lot of times like overworking yourself and not balancing your nutrition with like working out can lead to like a lot of times big eating disorders. A lot of mental health issues stem from this. So I think like one of the core things that we need to target, like as myself, is getting a good relationship with food and understanding that like you have to force yourself into a pattern. Like forcing yourself to like eat before practice is really like a good way to like get yourself into that pattern. And then like getting that relationship with food where you're trying to eat, like you have a goal. I think like setting a goal to eat like 3 meals a day, like start with 2, try to get 3, and realize that it's healthy for you, and realize that this is good for you.
Yeah, easier said than done. Again, it's hard to maintain that balance, hard to even, especially if you're working out all the time, hard to get the calories in enough that you need. And yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So how do you suggest, we as a community, a lot of mental health providers are here, a lot of people that work with young adults. How can we as a community support healthy relationships with nutrition and exercise in young adults?
That's actually like a really good point. So I think like speaking back on what I was saying before, the media is a big, social media or online, or honestly like videos that I just made myself, like those. I think targeting the media is definitely the first step in showing kind of how to develop a good relationship with food, as I was talking about, and showing how to keep like as a community represent nutrition and a good mindset for exercise and balancing your nutrition. I think promoting more like online, I feel like it's not talked about enough on there. And I think that as a community, we can definitely talk more about it on social media and also just support one another. There's so many, like, at least in my high school, there's so many support groups. And I think that it's gaining more popularity. But I think a lot of within schools and communities, getting support groups and finding comfort and knowing that you're not alone and finding people to talk to and to trust is also a big thing that we can do.
Thank you. I'd love to know personally how exercise and nutrition has impacted your mental health. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been a student athlete since I was really little, but when I started high school, it was a lot to balance at first, being a student athlete in general. So when you get to high school, you kind of realize I also played club soccer too. I'm a soccer player, so I played club soccer and I played high school soccer. And at the level that you get as you get older, it gets intense. And surrounding like high school sports and sometimes club sports culture does have a toxic reputation. There is a toxic culture associated with high school sports a lot of the times. And a lot of times it was so competitive and the images associated with it. Like there was a time where I was even thinking like maybe the reasons I don't play as much, or maybe I was questioning maybe the reasons I don't get as much playtime, or I don't, maybe my coach doesn't see me in the eyes that she sees other people's, maybe because I'm, out of shape, or I need to focus on my own nutrition, or I need to get like in a better mindset for myself. So I think that sometimes like the reasons that surround this toxic sports culture is also surrounded once again by the media. So I think that like myself personally, I struggled, especially like in the beginning of high school, with getting a good balance with my nutrition and balancing sports and not letting it affect me mentally. I think a big thing is just to like find the focus and not letting it affect you mentally and find your balance with nutrition. I think that's a good way to start.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so hard because nutrition, when we eat properly and when we move our bodies, that's one of the best things we can do to improve our mood and our mental health and support it. But yeah, it can really go too far.
Yeah.
Saying, especially if you're being raised in this culture that is not necessarily thinking about the mental health of the athlete. We've seen a lot of movement, positive movement in that direction, but it's only been in recent years. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. A couple of fun questions to close out our time with you, but you mentioned soccer, but what are some of your favorite ways to move your body?
So yeah, I've always played soccer, but personally, like for me, especially when like quarantine hit and COVID was hitting, I found comfort in exercise because I couldn't practice with my team or anything. But like going on walks and runs around like my neighborhood was such like a good way for me to practice self-care. And like practice moving my body when I couldn't be with my team. I think that like putting in like music and going for a walk or going for a jog was so like that was one of my favorite ways, and I still do that now. Not as much as I would like to, but it definitely was one of my favorite ways to kind of move my body.
I love that. And you mentioned that as one of your go-to self-care practices, but what are some other go-to self-care practices that you incorporate regularly?
Yeah, along with soccer, for me, I also love like drawing. I'm a high school student, so I always loved drawing and like doing art in between. Like when classes got really stressful my junior year, I found a lot of comfort in kind of just taking a step back and sitting in my room and kind of turning on some music and drawing and sketching for a bit. It got my mind off of things with like AP tests and college and all this stuff. So I think that's a very big way that I practiced it. And once again, like I said, like listening to music. And I also find comfort a lot. Like for me, I know it's harder for other people, but for me, when I'm struggling or I need to kind of talk to someone, I turn to my friends. That's probably one of the biggest things that I do. I just like hanging out with my friends as a self-care method and talking it out with them if there's something wrong. So yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Thank you for your insights. I know it's helpful for us all to hear so we know how to better support young adult mental health through these methods. And yeah, thank you again for making that amazing video and sharing your message and for helping us out on the Young Adult Advisory Committee. We love having you.
Thank you guys so much for enjoying the video and having me.
Thanks, Layla. All right. Well, now we are going to transition over to hear from an organization that is doing this really well. They're incorporating nutrition, exercise, and mental health and supporting young adults in our community. So I'm going to turn it over to our folks from the Noble Path Foundation, Cindi and Shannon. Let me get on Shannon. Where are you, Shannon? You disappeared for me, but I'll turn it over to Cindi in the meantime to get us going on a little bit of an overview about what you all do at the Noble Path Foundation.
Okay, thanks, Blair. Good morning, everyone. Wow, I just have to start by saying I am very excited to be in this group this morning. I'm so stoked to see like the young faces, all the youth and the young people here. That's very encouraging and inspiring. Megan, thank you so much for the meditation. Meditation is a huge part of my life. It's a daily practice, 20 minutes twice a day without fail. There's a pretty famous Dalai Lama quote that says, if every 8-year-old were taught meditation, then we could literally end violence in this world within 1 generation. And I truly believe it. I like the idea of starting the meetings of meditation. I think it probably lends to a more civil discourse and a more peaceful vibe, for sure. So anyway, oh, and Layla, thank you also for that, the video. It's very pertinent and important. So anyway, Noble Path Foundation is a 501c3 located here in San Clemente. I formed it about 10 years ago. And what we do is we're pretty much dedicated to trying to help the youth of our communities reach their highest potential via healthy nutrition and lifestyle choices, offering fun and safe social activities and motivational mentoring. So we have a 3-pronged approach to wellness for teens, which incorporates physical, nutrition and fitness, mental, the drug prevention, leadership, advocacy, mentorship, and then also the spiritual side or the soul side via socialization activities where kids can come to our building and have fun, be themselves without having to worry about undue peer pressure or ridicule or prejudice. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Thank you. That's amazing. I love that. So Shannon, I'm going to turn it over to you because you actually participated in some of these programs. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with Noble Path?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I haven't been in the programs. I've been a grant writer, and I have been one of the yoga teachers for our Wellness Wednesdays. The programs actually started when I was already in college, but I have my own personal journey of mental health through nutrition and exercise, which is one of the reasons why I'm a big believer of what the Noble Path Foundation is doing for these kids. And I've been able to be here in this building and watching as all these tools are and a safe environment is being provided for the youth.
Gotcha. Great, thank you. So between the two of you, what effects do you see in the young adults that go through your programs and walk through your doors? What do you see the effects of nutrition, or what are the effects of nutrition and exercise on the mental health?
I'll take that, Shannon, if you want. So I just wanted to give a few statistics for a little background reference, because right now we have about 30% of high school students who are classified as either overweight or obese. We have 1 out of 3 children predicted to develop diabetes in their lifetime, and currently 40% of normal weight children. So these aren't kids that fit into those 2 latter categories, but kids that look by all appearances skinny, thin, or normal weight. 40% of these kids are what we call TOFI, which is thin on the outside, but fat on the inside. So what it means is that because of the diets they're consuming, they're storing fat around their internal organs, which you can't see, but is actually more dangerous than the subcutaneous fat that, that we look at, right? So about 40 years ago, type 2 diabetes was practically non-existent in young people, right? Because that's why they actually called it adult onset diabetes, because only adults got it. But now, because we have type 2 diabetes in epidemic proportions in young people, they had to call it type 2 diabetes. And recent research has shown that insulin resistance in your brain is what causes dementia. And so scientists now even refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes, as if we needed another type of diabetes. So I think what we try to really raise awareness on is the prevention. So physical health affects mental health. Children who are obese or have health issues, they face ridicule and bullying, and they get ostracized from social groups, sports groups that they can't participate in, and they isolate at home, and they shun social activities and physical activities as well. I have tons and tons. I mean, this topic I usually can speak for at least 2 hours on, and I'm going to condense it to a couple of minutes, but there's tons of studies, blind randomized controlled studies that show the effect of junk food, highly processed foods are hurting the mental health of our kids. Let me see if I can, so let's see. The CDC, in fact, says that less than 10% of high school students are actually eating the combined recommended daily amounts of fruits and vegetables. And then there's a study from PLUS One, which is a peer-reviewed open access scientific journal published by the Public Library of Science. And they analyzed the diets and mental health of over 3,000 Australian teens aged 11 to 18. And in 2005 and 2006 is when this study was, and then they measured again 2 years later, and they found that even after accounting for factors such as socioeconomic status, smoking, weight, and that type of thing, those with better diets tended to have better mental health after 2 years. And there's lots and lots and lots of studies like that. I'm currently writing an article for the San Clemente Journal, and I'm talking about water, because something as simple as drinking 1 glass of water, if kids drank 1 glass of water between the time they woke up and went to school, they would perform better in cognitive skills. And it's frightening when you think that 75% of kids don't even do that. 75% of kids don't even wake up and have a glass of water between the time they wake up and when they go to school. Nutrition is huge, and it's just not diet. So it's physical fitness as well. Let's see, it says a recent study published in Journal of Science, Medicine, and Sport found that lower levels of self-reported physical activity in childhood were associated with a 35% increase in odds of self-reported depression as well. So yeah, does nutrition and exercise affect youth mental health? Absolutely, positively, 100%. Sorry, that was a long answer for your question.
Oh, that was great. And thank you for incorporating all of those studies. I think it's helpful to hear, there's a lot of research to support this. And yeah, I myself have been very interested in insulin resistance and, like you mentioned, type 3 diabetes, and just the way, again, this affects mental health. It affects the ability for young people to focus in school. It's just so far reaching. So thank you for sharing that. I'd love to know just how you create a healthy relationship with nutrition and exercise. Because again, as we've mentioned before, sometimes it can go too far and we can hyper focus on these things and it can be damaging to a certain extent. So how do you and your programs create this healthy relationship and healthy perspective on nutrition and exercise?
So I think that, and Layla touched on this as well, that in order to create a healthy relationship with nutrition and exercise, you have to have a healthy relationship with food. And that's what we focus on. How do you have a healthy relationship with food? It's not about dieting. It's about education and awareness about the dangers of our industrialized food system. And this isn't just a neighborhood problem or a community problem. It's not a state or nationwide problem. It's a global crisis. We've exported the standard American diet of junk food to every continent on this planet. And it's literally killing us and the environment as well. So when you think that chronic diseases are responsible for 7 out of 10 deaths in the United States, and that the majority of these diseases like heart disease and cancer and diabetes and stroke are caused in large part to what we put on our plates, it's safe to say that we are enthusiastically digging our own graves with our own knives and forks. And it's crazy because we can prevent it. I think we have this mentality of a pill for every ill. I think that it's super difficult to solve a problem unless we understand what's causing it and actually own it. We have to own the problem, right? It's like we're fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and then we're treated by the health industry, which pays absolutely no attention to food. It would be like if you had a sink that was overflowing in your house and you called a plumber and the plumber came over and he gave you a mop and a bucket to fix the problem. You'd be like, are you out of your effing mind? That's not going to solve anything. But that's essentially what we're doing by just treating the symptoms of diseases instead of preventing them. So yeah, again, switching from treatment to prevention and teaching the kids, the youth, why this is so important is what's ultimately going to fix things, I believe.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wild. One of the things that I have seen from your programs is that you incorporate this concept of motivational mentoring. Can you speak to that a little bit and what does that do for the youth in your programs and how do you incorporate it into your work?
Yeah, I love this part of our program. So, the physical health, the physical fitness side comes from our Nourish to Flourish program. And these kids come to us on referral from pediatricians, teachers, school counselors, social workers, et cetera. And they're basically saying, hey, this is a good kid. They just need help in these areas. And so we go through an interview process, and if we decide to take them in, we pair them with a personal trainer who works as one of these motivational mentorships. And all of our trainers have 4-year degrees in things like sports medicine, physical therapy, kinesiology, sports medicine, and they have experience in working with kids who oftentimes have underlying conditions or other physical impairments. What we try to focus on is, instead of measurements per se, is what we call life targets. So these are things we ask the kids, like, what would make you happy or happier in your life when it comes to fitness and nutrition? And it could be something like the 10-year-old who weighs over 250 pounds and never learned how to ride a bike because it was difficult for him to balance on a bike that was too small for him. And now he feels embarrassed that all of his friends can ride a bike and he can't. It's teaching him how to ride a bike. That's a game changer. That's a life altering event, right? It's the middle schooler who comes, or the kid going into middle school that's very overweight and says, I'm afraid of having to run the mile, you know, and being embarrassed amongst his peers and stuff like that. So once a week we went out, we walked with this individual and we did a mile. And then we tried to do it faster. Then we added like little jogging breaks in it. And then we got him to the point where he could run a mile without stopping. And he cried. It's beautiful. So yeah, these motivational mentoring things through the Nourish to Flourish program are great. I think I'd actually like Teri, if she's still on the meeting here, who's our executive director of AIM High, speak a little bit towards the mentorship on that program, because the acronym AIM stands for Advocacy, Inspiration, and Mentorship. And that's where we pair leaders of our community with the teens with some amazing and fantastic results. So Teri, if you don't mind filling them in a little bit about that program, that would be great.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Yes, I love this forum. I struggled for many years with eating disorders as a child, and I remember how it affected me. And I just, through the years, have worked with this coalition through Connect OC and some of the other collaborations. And so regarding AIM High, that used to be Thrive Alive with COA. And it was transferred over to the Noble Path Foundation. And the beauty of that transition is we were able to add that nutrition and fitness element, as well as have a building for the kids to come to. So AIM High is a 7-week series. And although we call it a prevention program, this is for ages 13 to 18. And every week is, during that 7-week session series, is a different speaker, many of them from this Connect OC coalition. For instance, healthy relationships and communications come from Laura's house. Nutrition from wellness, from the Noble Path Foundation. The Wellness and Prevention Center provides healthy toolkit for mental health. So again, what we try to do is target what the kids are going through. A lot of teenagers have conducted beta tests, which we get them after every single session to tell us what it is that they liked about it and what they want to change. And what they get out of this program is those mentors every single week are sharing stories of things that they went through, as well as the statistics of what they need to know, but they're given useful information. And after 7 weeks, in addition to that 2-hour session during the week, they are given opportunities pretty much every day of the week to try something new, anything from yoga, art, TGIF, which could be video gaming with friends, taking yourself outside of your bedroom and coming together with others. And those mentors that we talk about are a lot of the young adults who, you know, through the years have been involved one way or another with these programs. And that's where Shannon comes from. You know, Shannon says she's new to the Noble Path Foundation, but Shannon, when she was in high school, was mentoring youth and teaching them yoga. And now she has a business that's called My Traveling Hammock. And she goes around the world and she gives adventure to women and help empower them. So she's a little shy to admit what she's achieved. But her mentorship as a grant writer and working with the youth in the Noble Path Foundation program is pretty much a great example as to how AIM High navigates. Because in addition, so get this, we have the professional expert who comes, and then we've got a mentor that's a college age kid who has taken advantage of nutrition and fitness, and they're living that life. And then they help the younger ones see how it works. I hope that answered the questions. I could go on about AIM High. It's just one of the 3 prongs that the the Noble Path Foundation offers. It sort of all works together. And as you can see behind Cindi, I mean, that ping pong table, there's a foosball table, there's a media room downstairs, there's a balcony where the kids can barbecue. So when we're hitting those very heavy topics, such as the Alexander Neville story, where he got on Snapchat, purchased what he thought was Oxycontin at 14, his mom found him. Well, Amy had talked to the kids, and there were kids crying. It was upsetting, but we were able to have, we always have a counselor on site to help them process the information. And then after that, the kids got to wind down and be together, play activities. At that particular day, they did improv. On that note, inspiration is a huge part in creativity. So we have a professional actor come in and teach the kids improv, which is a great way for them to get involved in their high schools. So I just think it's an amazing program. And I see Lauren saying, I love this program. Lauren is actually one of our facilitators. Again, the way these programs work, everything we do is free. So when we're talking about getting the trainers, giving all these things, these kids never have to pay for anything. We don't ask them what they have. We provide them with food from the Food Connection, which is through COA. But we collaborate with what people have to offer in the community, and we just say, hey, can you offer an hour a week to help save this generation and build them stronger?
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Teri, and thank you for your passion for this work.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Shannon, I would love to turn it over to you. As Teri mentioned, you have your own history with, I believe it's yoga and your own mental health journey. Could you speak to that a little bit and how you incorporate that into your work at Noble Path?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. A lot of this is pretty similar to what Megan was speaking to us about earlier with yoga and how important of a tool it is to reconnect yourself with yourself when we live in a world that's so focused on productivity and there's a lot of external pressures in the world. Yoga was also one of my journeys for mental health and not just exercise, but just body awareness, simply just breath and moving your body with breath and being able to reconnect with yourself when your self can be so spread out in so many ways, whether it's school or family or friends or social pressures. And so a couple of years ago, I was able to start teaching yoga to teens, and I'm also doing it again this summer. And it's just introducing youth to that practice. And it's interesting because it is very foreign to have that practice, to just sit there with your body and start to be familiar. Similar to what Megan was saying, I remember when I first started yoga, it felt very challenging and I felt really awkward and didn't really understand it, but it's something that was always in my awareness. And as I revisit it as an adult, I really got to see the value of it. And so a lot of it's just introducing it, and it sometimes attaches. Like there have been people who are teens who have been in these classes and they have that initial interest, and then they start to continue this practice with yoga and see the benefit of the meditation and the reconnecting with yourself. And we get excited when they find interest in it, because, a lot of us get, we're taught in school how to be successful or how to have the best test scores, or, what's the next step to be successful in life. But not many people are taught, how do you cope with stress? How do you cope with life? And how do you reconnect with yourself, which is so important for moving on in this heavy world. And so having those skills to start to learn how to reconnect with yourself is so important. So it's really great to be able to start introducing that to youth.
Thank you so much. I'd love to know for the both of you, what are some of your go-to self-care practices? What do you do to, care for yourselves?
I could go first. I have a lot of them because I'm a very scattered person. So it could be yoga when I really need to wind down. But for me, going outside and exercising in various ways, like right now, surfing is really big for me because it's the combination of the exercise and the thrill of riding a wave and the therapeutic aspect of the ocean, the salt water, and then the sun outside. And it's a little collaboration of self-care because it's the exercise, it's the being outdoors, it's having the vitamin D, it's connecting with other surfers who are out there enjoying themselves in this beautiful ocean. And then rock climbing, because of it's very much a strategic mental exercise as well as a physical exercise. I'm such a big believer on like not just yoga being a way to cope with stress, but just being able to pump your body with natural dopamine from like going outside and like catching that wave or like learning a new route in rock climbing. It's like these little rewards for yourself, because it's not just about the reward of working really hard and earning money to make a life, but like the rewards of meeting a goal that you didn't realize you can do and figuring out something that's challenging and then connecting with other people in those communities who are also trying to understand their bodies and their abilities and just the beautiful things that are offered in the world, such as rocks in the ocean.
Awesome. Okay, so real quickly, because I know we're running out of time here. My self-care is definitely meditation. It's also exercise and getting out and running and just sweating and not thinking. But I think the most important thing when I start to feel a little bit overwhelmed is remembering to put pauses in my life, in my daily life. I'm a multitasker. I'll brush my teeth while I'm making the bed, checking my emails. But if we stop and we put pauses between things, it helps us to be more mindful. The Noble Path Foundation is not a Buddhist organization by any means, even though that's how I was raised. The Noble Eightfold Path is the prescription in Buddhism to end suffering. And the reason I call it the Noble Path Foundation is because that's our goal, is to try to help ease suffering of the youth today. And so we do that by compassion and by helping others and by listening. And all of those things, when taken one by one, help my care. So I really appreciate the time you've given us here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all of that. Before we let you go, I'd love to know, since I know many of our providers are probably interested, how can we get youth connected to your programs? How do you, I know you mentioned referral processes through pediatricians and teachers and things like that, but how can we?
It's basically right now it's awareness. We have only been open for business in this location with this building and all the services it enables us to provide since the beginning of this year. And people don't know we exist yet. So I think once the word gets out that we offer all these amazing things, it will get a lot busier. But right now we just need people to help spread the word and share the love.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm seeing in the chat about sending flyers so that they can support with awareness. So if there are any flyers that you have about Noble Path or anything, feel free to either drop those in the chat or you can send them to me and I can share those out.
Okay.
Coalition, no. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Cindi, and thank you, Shannon. Thank you to Teri as well. Perfect. All right. Well, we are going to transition now into just a couple of updates from Connect OC. And then we'll transition to some other partner updates from all of you. And I just want to call everyone's attention to the survey link in the chat. So thank you, Crystal, for dropping that in. Again, if you could help us out by filling out this survey, we would greatly appreciate it. Many of you know we're all programs that need data, and so we appreciate your taking the time in filling this out. So just a couple of updates from Connect OC. We want to let you know that we do have our meeting recordings live on our website. Not for every meeting. We only started recording the meetings a few meetings ago. So we have the last few months posted. So if you want to go to our website, connect-oc.org, we have some of those listed. So if there's ever a meeting that you wanted to share with others that they couldn't attend, but you want to let them know what they missed in addition to the meeting minutes, we actually will have those recordings on our website. So feel free to check those out. Additionally, we are in our planning stages for this next year that we find ourselves in now, and we're planning a lot of resource fairs, mental health resource fairs, and different events. We'd love to host more of these at colleges and in the community. So if you're interested in collaborating on any of these events or know of someone who'd like to host a resource fair that focuses on mental health and wellness, we'd love to know. We'd love to collaborate with you. So just throwing that out there, want to make sure that you know that we're interested in collaborating and are planning these events. So thank you in advance for any ideas and connections you might have for that. Our last announcement, it's a very big and personal announcement for me, but I am here to share that this will be my last coalition meeting with all of you. I am leaving Partners for Wellness and the Connect OC project. I'm so sad to say that. I'm so sad to leave, but I am transitioning to focusing on my other full-time job, which is taking care of my daughter. So I will be staying home with her full-time for the foreseeable future. But I just want to let you all know I've just been so honored to spend my Friday mornings with you and to work with you on bringing mental health awareness and supporting the mental health of transitional aged youth. It's just such important work, and I've loved being able to share this time with you and share and celebrate all of the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for just being here to support us. And I'm so sad to leave you all, but thank you so much for this time and for the support you've shown our team. And I know you'll continue to show the support to Crystal, to Joy, to Sarah, to David and Vivi. David, for the foreseeable future, will be taking over the coalition meeting. So you've seen him before. He was here with us doing this when I was on maternity leave. So you'll be in great hands, I know for sure. But thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for the kind messages in the chat. So sweet. Well, before we get too sappy, I'm going to turn it over to Kai from Hazelton Betty Ford to share a little bit about their services. So Kai, I've lost you. I need to find you again.
I am right here.
All right.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Sorry to see you go, but congratulations. So I just wanted to share a little bit about some of the work that we are doing. First of all, for those who are curious as to how my first name is pronounced, it's Clementina. I almost never use it. I go by Kai. It's a lot easier. I'm a licensed clinical social worker who is based out of the state of Florida. So different time zone, is a little bit later in the day for me. But I did want to kind of talk to a little bit about some of the work that we are doing in partnership with the Orange County Healthcare Agency. We do know that a lot of our work focuses around substance use disorders and substance use disorder treatment. And we do know that the opioid overdose epidemic has had a huge impact, not just on our hearts, but on our communities, hurting our families and neighbors, and stressing our healthcare systems, government agencies, faith communities, courts, schools, human service providers, and more. And yet, if we find new ways to work together, those same community assets can be the source of life-saving help and a much brighter tomorrow. This is something that we've seen even in my own community here in the state of Florida. I don't know if it quite made national news, but I know over the 4th of July weekend, Gadsden County, which is a little ways over from where I am at, experienced, I think they had 9 fatalities due to overdoses that they thought were connected to fentanyl, in particular, fentanyl laced, pills. So it's definitely something that we are seeing all across the country. We've been largely working with the Orange County Healthcare Agency, as well as some folks from ADEPT, the Alcohol and Drug Education Prevention team. I do know that I think Pauline's daughter is here, as well as I thought I saw Carolyn earlier, but I'm not sure if Carolyn is still here. But they've been very, very helpful in terms of getting us connected with resources within the community. What we do here at the solution, as part of the solutions team at the Hazelwood and Betty Ford Foundation, we provide training and consultation, not just to behavioral health providers or substance use counselors, but to multiple different individuals, essentially anybody who could come in contact across multiple systems of care with an individual who might be looking for services for addressing substance-related issues. We do also provide culturally responsive organizational change support and community-based engagement services that address the need for care, from prevention to clinical interventions, medical services, as well as recovery management. So while our goal is really to work with the county and ultimately connect with all cities in the county, and to find ways in which naloxone can make it into the hands of those who need it, being naloxone being the opioid overdose reversal drug. Initially, we are going to be focusing on community groups in the cities of Anaheim, Fullerton, Dana Point, and Newport Beach, because when we went into some of the data and statistics, we found that these cities in particular tend to have higher overdose death rates compared to the county average. That being said, just because that's where we're starting doesn't necessarily mean we will refuse connection with anybody who doesn't want to reach out. So if you do know somebody or you're part of an organization that wants to get involved in this project, please feel free. I will drop my contact information in the chat before we leave. What we're doing in partnership with the Orange County Healthcare Agency, we are working to meet and engage with behavioral health providers, medical and community partners, to participate in and learn from listening sessions, and to put hope and healing within reach for more of our families, neighbors, and communities. And we are seeking community and provider partners to help us, one, raise awareness of opioid overdoses, as well as the life-saving value of naloxone. To provide emergency overdose kits along with training on how to use them, and to reduce stigma associated with substance use disorders and normalize that process of reaching out for help. Now, we don't want to, come in here with all of this information and act like we're the ones who know everything from the get-go, because we do know that coalitions such as this one exist, and there are community partners and providers who have likely been working on this within the county and within the available community supports and resources much longer than we've been here. And we don't want to step on anybody's toes, nor do we want to replicate any of the work that anybody else is doing, right? We do know that there's a number of organizations in the county that are already working towards distribution of naloxone. So mostly what we are looking for is, number one, what's already been done. And then what existing community strengths can we leverage and amplify? And where, if anywhere, are the gaps in existing resources or services? Other goals of the project do include, like I said, stigma reduction related to substance use disorders and utilization of medication for substance use disorders, providing information and training and distributing emergency overdose kits to businesses within university settings, churches, community groups, high schools, middle schools. Essentially, the goal being, let's try as much as we can to get naloxone into the hands of anybody and everybody who may find themselves in a situation in which they may need to use it. Conducting a gap analysis of needs within the county related to opioid use overdoses and overdose deaths in particular. Offering training and resources on naloxone and Narcan administration. providing some systems and organizational consultations, mostly focused on behavioral health and other providers and other community partners who might be interested. And of course, initiating and having some of those informal conversations about substance use disorders and the impact that they can have on our communities. As I said before, I will put my contact information in the chat for anybody who may be interested in more information or who's looking to work with us. I do see Steve's comments. OC is 9% of deaths and 8% of the population. 83,000 Narcan units have been received. Yes, perfect, yes. And Steve, I think I remember you from one of the previous Connect OC meetings, so I have your contact information, but just in case, I'm saving that again, so thank you. And that is my email address in the chat. I am one of our contacts. There's a few of our other colleagues who you may see at some of these other meetings, including Dr. Randy Moberly, as well as Joyce Starr, both of them being very experienced clinicians who have also worked in the field. But yeah, feel free to reach out to any of us. You may see us showing up at some of these other coalition meetings or other community events. We are hoping at some point to be able to come out there in person and start connecting with people face to face, because so much of what we do is built on building and then maintaining relationships over time. Zoom is great, but it's never going to be a replacement for being in the same room with people. But yeah, I want to open up the floor to questions if anybody has any, and I look forward to hopefully connecting and working with a lot of you.
Thank you so much, Kai. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and yeah, it's so important. Yeah, as Kai mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to either put those in the chat or unmute yourself. We'll give everyone just a minute before we move on with our next update.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, Kai, again for the announcement. All righty. We will be moving on to the rest of our partner updates time. So I'm actually going to put, Amanda, are you still here? I'm putting you on the spot to share first.
All right. Thank you, Blair. And we're going to miss you so much. Oh my gosh, but congrats on being able to spend a lot of time with your daughter. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So excited for you. But yeah, hi everyone. I'm Amanda with NAMI Orange County. We are starting to kind of plan out our new year. And we are working with the county and Connect OC to work on a mural project that we want to do to raise awareness for Suicide Prevention Month in September. This mural is going to really reflect and showcase, the messages of hope and resilience with mental health, and as well as like why taking one's mental health is so important and why we need to kind of upkeep it. This is something that we're working with a lot of our students in our clubs to, create the messaging and the artwork, and then ultimately be the ones to create it for the community. And then we plan to unveil it with a community event during Suicide Prevention Week, so everyone can see and hopefully have it displayed up throughout the entire month to just continue that awareness. Since we are looking at doing this in September, there's a very tight turnaround time for this. So we are hoping that by throwing this out there to everyone here today, if you guys know of any group that has a building space or, just even an internal space that would be willing to host a mural, this can be done either with it being traditional painted on the building or being something like a temporary structure that we put up and we can always take down later. We would really, really appreciate it. So any leads or anyone you may know of that has a space that could accommodate this would be really appreciative. I'll put my email and contact info in the chat. So if you guys know of anything, please feel free to reach out. I do see a hand up. Nancy, if you want to go.
Yeah. Nancy, thanks, Amanda.
Hi there. How is everybody? Blair, we're going to miss you, but you're taking on such a wonderful, wonderful role full-time role. And I do wish you all the best in that journey. And I wanted to thank Cindi and Kai for their work. And Cindi, you know, your work with the youth and the mental health and the physical health and everything that goes into that. It's a cause near and dear to my heart, and congratulations, you're doing wonderful work. And I just wanted to mention to everybody that on Saturday, September 10th, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is going to have our Out of the Darkness Walk, which happens to be World Suicide Prevention Day. We're going to be at UCI Irvine, the Aldrich Park. And if you're interested, I'm going to put the link to the site on there if you'd like to either just join as a walker, if you would like to create a team. But more importantly, if anybody is interested in joining us in our resource fair, I'm going to put the link on that. So if any organizations are represented, please feel free to sign up. We look forward to having you join us. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put my email in the chat so anybody can contact me, ask me any questions, and I'll be free to talk with you about this. So thank you, everybody, for giving me a chance. Blair, thank you for giving me the chance to mention this, and I hope I see you all at the walk. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Thank you. Thank you. Any other updates? Steve, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I just stopped crying, so now I can speak. You're not supposed to laugh. You're just supposed to smile. Smiling's good. Laughing is so, I don't know. It's an internal thing, how I relate to it, right? I just want to let people know that we do have openings on our Behavioral Health Advisory Board, and we have 4 of them. You just, one thing you can't be is a county contractor. And, but other than that, pretty much family, consumer, you can be a treatment provider, but not a county contractor. And I think we have 3 or 4 openings. We have a new person that was coming on. We just added somebody who works at Chapman, who does a lot of outreach. And so we're trying to strengthen the board for a variety of ways. So if there's anybody that's interested, I did put my information, my personal information in the chat. Our board does have a budget now from Ronnie Kelly. So we would like to get more involved in the community. We're at Swallows. We're going to be at the Butterfly Festival. Jim Taylor on our board is very connected in South County, knows a lot of people. And so we'd sort of like to know what are good events. And there is a good SUD event, Purpose of Recovery, coming up in August, has an event. And if you go to the Orange County Recovery Collaborative, it's sort of a real-time sourcing for SUD. And that's good to know if you need that, because there's not too many places for young people. Though Aliso Ridge is mental health only, in Aliso Viejo does have 20 beds, 6 to 11, and 20, 12 to 18. So they're not completely operational now. That is the plan. Managed healthcare, our friend in managed healthcare makes it very difficult for these facilities to get going really quickly. And so anyway, thanks for letting me share. I got through it without crying. I'm so happy. I wish we had your daughter in the background or something. I mean, I always love hearing the kids on the Zoom. So you have a great day.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you. All right, any other updates, any events coming on? Let's see, coming up. Tony.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is my first meeting, actually. So Blair, it's good to meet you and good luck with everything. I am from UCI Student Wellness. I do outreach, and I'm also an LPCC here in California. And we do have an upcoming Zot Health Fair this fall, and then we're also having a health fair specifically for mental health in the winter. And I have been sort of DMing some of you, but I am hoping to get invitations out in the next few months. So I'm just going to put my email or in the chat here, and go ahead and shoot me an email if you're interested in attending either our health fair or our mental health fair. And I will put the details in the chat. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for joining us. Matthew.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Chavez. I'm from the Nose Clinic Foundation, and I believe my other colleague is here, Nina, but I just wanted to share with you guys that 2022 marks the Nurse Clinic Foundation's 10th year anniversary. So we've been around for about a decade. So 10 years doesn't seem like a long time, but in the field of mental health, 10 years providing affordable mental health services is a really big deal, especially in Orange County. So we're actually celebrating our 10th year anniversary October 8th at the Black Gold Golf Club out in Yorba Linda. It'll be from 6 to 10. And we actually have a guest speaker. His name is Dr. Cornell West. He's a really famous professor, activist, and he's very passionate about mental health. And so Nina, she'll put a link in the chat to our website with more information and how to support us with that. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Matthew. Congratulations. That's amazing. All right. Any other announcements? Any other updates?
Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Nogales with Casa de la Familia. Blair, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this for all of us, not just hosting, but really coming up with just some really great topics of conversation and looping in people that, perhaps I, as their outreach director, would not have known more about. So I do really appreciate that. And I could definitely say motherhood is one of the greatest gifts. And sometimes, we regret, not always reaching out to the whole community, but affecting a child's life to the point of, really putting so much emphasis on their nurturing. We always wish that each family could do that, right? Whereas we would have not less problems, but probably some less heartache, with some of the kids that don't get a chance to have that. So thank you. I look forward to working with David again. But I do want to say our programs at Casa de la Familia, we never closed. We still, however, are conducting telehealth services. With that being said, we're a mental health nonprofit, and we do have advocates at the Family Justice Centers in Santa Ana and Anaheim. And they can see once a week. We do have a counselor there. And after an intake process, they can see an individual or a family perhaps in person. So do know that. And if you have any questions, I put a lot of information about our org in the chat, but we really strive to still assist victims of crime on their journey, no matter how long ago their crime has happened. We work with 2 separate grants, one to help human trafficking survivors, as well as sexual assault survivors, as well as their families. So even if the survivor doesn't come to see us, please know we have no-cost services for those families in particular, and also work closely with CalVCB. So we're abreast to all their different changes that have gone on recently. So we do offer low cost and no cost, but I do want to just circle all the way back around to the beginning of the meeting, where we also just talked about our own mental health. There are many advocates who have come to see us, and I encourage all of you, if you are looking for low cost counseling or even no cost counseling, we're here for you as well. Depression has gone up so much under COVID, and it continues to. So There's no weakness in that. We're also here for you as well as our community, as you are our community. Thank you, guys. I put my info in the chat.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you. All right, well, if there are no further announcements, Crystal, you unmuted.
Yeah, if there's no further announcements, I do want to jump in here and just on behalf of not only the agency, but Connect OC and our whole team is thank you, Blair, for being such kind of a leader in this coalition and a leader for the project, leader in the agency in general. We're going to miss you. I'm going to not get emotional, but thank you. I know Phil wanted to say something too. I believe Phil's on here, but you've definitely set us on a great trajectory, and we're going to miss having you here and having your spirit and your smile, but super happy for your next step, and congratulations.
Thanks, Crystal. Hi, Blair. Thank you so much for the past few years and everything you've done to help us grow Partners for Wellness and the Connect OC movement. This last couple hours here on this meeting is you and the work that you've done with the Connect OC team and Crystal and David and Sarah and the rest. I know Crystal's very emotional here with that, but I just want to take on behalf of the board of directors and on behalf of the agency, there's no words that can thank you enough for all that you have done, but thank you and best of luck with your new ventures in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. I really, I'm going to miss you. It's an understatement. I was telling Crystal yesterday, I think I'm all cried out. I really love this work, and I'm smiling because I get nervous, and when I'm emotional, I tend to laugh. So Steve, please know that I was not laughing at you. I just was very touched when you were sharing. So thank you so much. I just have enjoyed my time being here and being able to take part and assist in leading it. I know that I lead most of the meetings and you see me, but it's really a team effort. Crystal and Joy and Vivi and Sarah and David and our advisory committee members really, they do so much of the legwork here. And so just want to give credit where credit is due as well. But thank you so much. I'm going to miss all of you, and I'm really going to miss my time here with the Connect OC project specifically. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I know you weren't laughing. I'm just a goofball.
Thanks, Steve. All righty. Well, our next meeting will take place on August 26th, last Friday of the month. So our team will see you then. I will not, but I wish you all well. I wish you all the best. And thank you so much. And have a great weekend. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Excellent meeting. We appreciate you.